If it is certain that a stretcher is not needed to transport a casualty, or if it is not possible to bring a stretcher near enough to him, he can be carried by hand. When there are two people present, they can make a three-handed seat by taking each other's wrists. One of them leaves an arm free to provide a support for the casualty's back. The casualty is first put flat on his back, then placed in a sitting position by one of the attendants standing behind him, who will take firm hold of the casualty's forearm. The other attendant bends the casualty's legs and brings him to a standing position. The two attendants then make a three-handed seat, which they slip as far forward as possible under the casualty's thighs, and lift him up. The attendants can also make a two-handed seat to carry the casualty and at the same time support his injured lower limb. When there is only one person present, he can carry the casualty by fireman's lift. Put the casualty face down. Stand at his head and place your hands under his armpits. Lift him to his knees. Slide your hands down to his waist and raise him to his feet on your left side, supporting him. Take hold of his left wrist with your right hand. Stoop and draw his left arm over your head. Pass your left arm round his thigh. Straighten yourself, lifting the casualty, and change your grip. In this way, your left hand holds the casualty's left forearm. Your right hand is free to hold on to a handrail or a ladder. If the casualty is in a confined area difficult to get at, the need for an emergency removal justifies bringing him out by dragging him along the ground. Crawl up to the casualty, preferably backwards. Kneel astride him and place him on his back. Tie his wrists together with your handkerchief or any other piece of cloth available. Pass his arms tied together over your head and crawl slowly out, dragging the casualty along with you, attached to your neck. A stretcher is used as much as possible in transporting a casualty. If a Neil Robertson stretcher is available, especially on board ship, its use is recommended. Here is the usual kind of stretcher being used. At least two attendants are needed for a stretcher. When the casualty has been placed on his back, they tie his legs and ankles together, putting protective pads between his ankles and his knees. One person places himself at the head of the casualty and directs the operations. The other places himself astride the casualty's legs. Prepare to lift, lift, advance. It is essential that the movements should be well synchronized and not hurried. Prepare to lower, lower. The attendants wrap the casualty up in the blanket arranged on the stretcher, fasten the straps, and take him away. Carry him head first, so as to be able to keep a better watch over him. Prepare to lift, lift, Advance. The attendants should not walk in step. If injury to the spinal column is suspected, 4 bearers will be needed to transport the casualty, and special measures will need to be taken. 1 blanket is folded on the stretcher in such a way as to provide a cushion under the casualty's back. A 2nd blanket is half folded lengthwise into a roll. The roll is brought alongside the casualty. The 4 attendants together carefully turn the casualty on his side in a single movement and draw the roll of blanket against him. They then turn him again on his back, on the blanket, with the same movement. The other half of the blanket is in turn folded into a roll, the 2 rolls in this way forming a cradle splint. The 4 attendants take a firm grip on the splint, 1 at the casualty's feet, 1 at each side, and 1 at his head. The attendant at his head directs the operations. Prepare to lift, lift, advance. Prepare to lower, lower. The rolls of blanket are undone and the casualty is covered with them. The straps are fastened. The stretcher bearers walk out of step so as to avoid swinging the casualty needlessly.